Hello dear friends, you're on Ruslan Belov's channel. Today we will discuss the situation in Ukraine as of July 21st, 2025. A large number of significant events occurred today, so let's begin. We start with another massive strike on Ukrainian territory by missiles and drones, which took place during the night of July 21st, 2025. From early morning, various monitoring channels published this map, where once again we can see hundreds of yellow lines, dozens of red lines, and a few blue lines, each representing a different type of weapon used the previous night. Once again, according to Ukrainian monitoring sources, the Russian side launched hundreds of drones, dozens of cruise missiles, and several ballistic missiles, including hypersonic ones. Throughout the night and into the morning, footage from objective control sources continued to appear. We can see the aftermath of the strikes in this footage, which, according to the source, was filmed in Kyiv. A destroyed building is visible, which, as reported, housed a drone manufacturing facility. Additionally, today the Russian Ministry of Defense released another briefing that included very interesting information. According to their statement, not only were drone production facilities hit, but also at least 3 Patriot missile launchers and an AN/MPQ-65 radar, which is used with those systems, were destroyed. If confirmed, this would be a serious blow to Ukraine's entire air defense network, and more than that, a reputational hit for Western manufacturers and governments that collect these systems from all over the world to send them to Ukraine. Possibly, these systems are being destroyed before they can even become operational in the country. It's an extremely costly loss. Some sources claim that the destruction of these 3 Patriot systems and the radar alone cost Ukraine about $1 billion in one night. A truly massive amount of money. Returning to the drone factories, we again see footage of strikes on Kyiv and their aftermath, visible the next morning. Of particular interest is the claim by several sources that the drone factory destroyed that night was the very same one recently visited by Donald Trump's special representative, Keith Kellogg. It's difficult to determine the truth of this claim, but if it's accurate, it raises serious questions for the Trump administration, his inner circle, and possibly those who may have relayed this information to the Russian side so quickly. Clearly, at this point, Kyiv can no longer trust even its closest partners and allies, those who are supplying the most advanced weapons. Later, the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense released its own report on the results of its air defense system. According to that report, virtually everything was intercepted and shot down. Specifically, they claimed that all missiles, cruise and ballistic, were intercepted and no targets were hit. However, as we mentioned earlier, the Russian Defense Ministry claims that 3 Patriot systems and a radar were destroyed. As for drones, they say that only 20 or 30 reached their targets, while the rest were either suppressed or destroyed. Let's briefly return to the strike map and note 3 key impact areas. The capital, Kyiv, with extensive footage and reports already discussed. Kharkiv, with very limited information, and the western city of Ivano-Frankivsk. According to the mayor of Ivano-Frankivsk, last night's strike was one of the most powerful and large-scale since the beginning of the special military operation. We'd certainly like more details on that strike, especially regarding the Patriot systems, but for now, we work with the information we have. Now let's move to the front lines, where there are many interesting updates and changes. As usual, we begin with the Sumy front, where fighting continues around the village of Constantinovka. Today, the map has once again been updated with new markings and corrections. For the 3rd consecutive week, Ukrainian forces have been assaulting this village, gradually improving their positions. It seems that in the near future, the battle for Constantinovka may end, and the Russian army will likely have to retreat. Here is the map from the evening of July 19th, just hours before what appears to have been the final assault phase. By the end of July 20, objective control footage and geolocation data appeared from the southern part of Constantinovka, specifically footage showing airstrikes on Ukrainian positions. Yesterday, we asked whether Russian troops were still present in Constantinovka, or if the battle had already concluded. It seems the fighting continues. Today we have additional footage and geolocations. Ukrainian cartographers have now painted Constantinovka grey, indicating it's still contested. It's too early to color it fully under Ukrainian control, since the area remains highly fluid. It appears the village is a patchwork. Russian soldiers might occupy one building, while Ukrainian troops are on the second or third floor of another. A fierce, close-quarters battle is ongoing, but momentum seems to be shifting in Ukraine's favor. Therefore, we are also coloring most of Kondratovka grey, not because Deep State did it, but because of footage showing activity in the village center and near a central bridge. Based on the nature of the strikes, it's no longer clear how to adjust the map, north to south or east to west. Everything is chaotic, and we're seeing conflicting signals. For this reason, the entire village is currently marked as contested. However, within a day or two, it will most likely be marked under Ukrainian control. Ukrainian forces are now pushing into the eastern part of the village. It's possible the Polova Street area is still held by Russian troops, but Ukrainian reinforcements are already arriving. This is the situation so far. We also observe Ukrainian forces concentrating near Andreevka, and after the battle for Kondratovka, they may move either east toward Alexeyevka or north toward Constantinovka. This week, peace talks between Ukrainian and Russian delegations are scheduled to be held in Istanbul. Until then, we're likely to witness more offensives and counterattacks. Zelensky needs strong bargaining chips before the talks, and he intends to get them at any cost. Additionally, a retaliatory missile or drone strike by Ukraine deep into Russian territory could occur soon, perhaps tonight between July 21st and 22nd. Meanwhile, Russian forces are advancing on the Sumy axis, with intense fighting near the village of Yablunivka. Ukrainian sources have published footage showing Russian infantry moving along forest belts toward the village of Novosich further south. Based on that footage, we've updated the map accordingly. Fighting is ongoing in Vorochin, a village of only 10 buildings. But here Ukrainian resistance is especially fierce, possibly even fiercer than in the much larger settlement of Yunakivka, where the battle dynamics remain unclear. Now we move on to the Kharkiv sector, which brings many updates. Ukrainian channels report that Russian forces may have opened a new front in this area. There is advancement, potentially near Milov, Degtyana, or Vovchansk. Perhaps another direction is also involved. Details are still lacking. In Milov and the northeastern part of Kharkiv Oblast, pro-Russian cartographers have made minor updates, suggesting that Russian troops have improved their positions along the perimeter and are approaching Ambane and Katne. Battles for these two villages are expected soon. Next, we move to the Constantinovka sector. We'll skip Kupiansk, as there have been no major developments there in the past 24 hours. Starting in Bila Hora, the Russian Ministry of Defense claimed yesterday that the village came under full control of Russian forces after a decisive operation by the Southern Group. However, cartographers hesitated to confirm this without visual evidence. Today, that evidence arrived. New footage published by pro-Russian Telegram channels shows Russian assault troops calmly walking through the western part of Bila Hora, taking up positions without apparent concern about Ukrainian FPV drone strikes. The video captures the moment when a group of 3 troops occupies a building. This building was located and geolocated on the map. It is the very building that was occupied by Russian troops. And as we can see, the map update made yesterday was not done randomly. Indeed, Bila Hora is under the control of the Russian army, not only according to the Ministry of Defense report, but also confirmed by geolocation. At this moment, heavy fighting is underway for the village of Oleksandra Shultin, where Russian forces are advancing both from Bila Hora and along the railway line. It appears that Oleksandra Shultin may soon fall, and most likely will. If this happens, the Russian army will be able to straighten the front line along the railway and essentially complete the formation of a cauldron or semi-encirclement of the Ukrainian forces currently trapped in this pocket. This is a key Ukrainian defensive hub on the approaches to Konstantinovka, and judging by the current map configuration, Ukraine's armed forces may begin a gradual withdrawal from this area toward Konstantinovka within the next few days. If they don't, Ukrainian units could end up completely encircled, after which the front line will likely be leveled in the southeastern section. After that, the Russian army is expected to shift its focus to the Klebanbek reservoir, where it will likely begin clearing 4 nearby villages: Sherbinivka, Katarinivka, Klebanbek, and possibly Nelipivka, where fighting also continues. According to some cartographers, over the past 24 hours, Russian forces have made slight progress in the southern part of Sherbinivka, capturing several buildings. Ukrainian troops are still putting up resistance, but it appears that this resistance may soon collapse. Just to the north, Russian drones are operating along major roads, striking equipment, personnel, and evacuation vehicles. A mini cauldron has now formed here. With all main supply routes under Russian control, it is currently very difficult to send in reinforcements or extract units from Sherbinivka. Ukrainian media aren't reporting on this yet, but we can likely expect another scandal soon. Next, we move to the H-32 highway area, where there has been minor progress by Russian units around the perimeter. Russian forces have moved slightly north of the anti-tank trenches towards Stepanivka, and according to geolocations, several more Ukrainian strongholds along the H-32 have been cleared. Overall, it seems likely that the Russian army will soon test Ukraine's defenses in Stepanivka, a critically important strongpoint. Losing it could lead to the complete collapse of Ukrainian defenses on the southern, southeastern, and southwestern approaches to Constantinovka. After Stepanivka, there are virtually no settlements left before the city agglomeration. Yes, there are villages like Ilinka and Berostok, but these are essentially part of the greater Konstantinovka area. As for Pokrovsk, the front line here has seemingly frozen for 5 or 6 days. In reality, only the maps have stopped changing. On the ground, fighting continues non-stop. Yes, media coverage has died down, and there are fewer claims that Pokrovsk is being fully encircled by Russian forces. But that does not mean the fighting has lessened, or that Ukraine has stabilized the front line. That's simply not the case. We're now in a similar situation as we were in Belahora. Weeks of fighting with little information, then one day the Russian Ministry of Defense reports the area is cleared, and the next day we get visual confirmation. Something similar may occur in the northeastern part of Pokrovsk. Eventually, reports and updates will reshape the maps of most cartographers. But for now, everyone is waiting to see what unfolds. Very interesting news is also coming from the southwestern edge of Pokrovsk. Several experts have noted that Ukrainian forces appear to have lost full control over the southwestern part of the town. To be clear, we are not yet saying that Russian regular forces have established full control here. What's happening is that Russian reconnaissance and sabotage groups, DRGs, have entered. Some cartographers and military experts, including from the Ukrainian command, report that Russian forces now have the technical and physical ability to penetrate up to 3.6 kilometers into Pokrovsk. According to some sources, Russian soldiers from DRG units have been seen around Yubileyny Park and possibly Olympiets Stadium, a significant distance from the previous front line. Footage was also published today showing what might be an evacuation or the movement of Russian soldiers. Here we see a Russian soldier moving toward Leontovichi and Pokrovsk. This is the exact point where a Russian soldier is seen walking along Sazonova Street. Based on this footage, a minor update was made near the village of Zverova, slightly to the south. A separate update was also made by pro-Ukrainian cartographers from Deep State. If we look at their adjustments, the most interesting detail is that around Zverova and Leontovichi, a large portion of the area within the red box is now marked as a grey zone. This likely means that a heavy close-quarters battle is ongoing here. Russian troops are finishing the clearing operation, and it is highly probable that in the next few days this entire small pocket will be updated in Russia's favor. That would include the southwestern part of Pokrovsk and the beginning of fighting inside the town itself. So if we summarize the situation in both the southwest and northeast, everything points to high-intensity combat, soon beginning within Pokrovsk. It will be interesting to see how the Ukrainian side responds. Regarding the southern Donetsk and Dnipropetrovsk directions, there is little news today. Some minor map adjustments have been made near Shevchenko and Privolne. In Volnopol, updates have been applied, and airstrikes were reported in the Yanuarsky area, where Ukrainian positions are being destroyed. This likely indicates preparation for storming operations in that region and further advances into Zaporizhia and Dnipropetrovsk oblasts. That's it for today, friends. Thanks for watching and staying with us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video. Take care and see you in the next update.